Try one more time.
Yeah, just said it went live.
Okay, good. Yeah, so it just had a little tech hiccup there, so it should be good to go. All right, so there's some right there. The materials we have, I've already talked a little bit about, but let me give you specifics on the materials. The hook that we're using is a Firehole Sticks 316, I believe is the number for it. And it's just a normal caddis pupa hook. Any of those will work fine. And this is a size 14, but it's a nice wide gap hook. And for dubbing, we're using Hare's Ear Plus, which is a nice buggy dubbing. I think buggy works really well for this fly. And this is tan, so it's Hare's Ear Plus and tan. And then the bead, like I said, is just a Hobby Lobby glass bead for like people that do bead work for a hobby. And then the soft tackle could be almost anything. We're using partridge wings. And the partridge wings, let me pull them so the guys online can see them. The only place that I know that sells these is Feathercraft. And the nice thing about them is they have some really nice color to the feathers. And these are like $7.95 a pair. You can buy bags of partridge hair, but it's almost a waste of money because you get a bag of partridge hair and you've got a dozen usable feathers out of it. It's just really a lot of junk feathers. The other thing that's really good for soft tackle, and it works well for this fly also, is this hen saddle patch like this. This is a Wapsi hen saddle patch, and it's really nice feathers. But they go down to 14 at the bottom, and this is all too big to use for much else. So about 14 is about as small as you can, really 12 and 14. These, kind of 12 and 14 as well. The way you want to size your soft tackle.
Yeah, you muted on Zoom?
No.
Okay, that's all coming up there.
Is it came up on mute?
Keep coming up on the screen.
Oh, that's the TV muted, so it won't feedback. For example, you want to look at the length of your hook versus the length of your soft tackle. And I'm going to peel some of these feathers off. And you want the length of the feather fibers to be about the same length as your hook. That's how you pick the feather size for your hook. And so that's why I told you to get some smaller feathers there. But so with that, let's start tying. Oops. I knew I'd do that. Am I still in focus?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. I want to make sure it shows all of my mistakes. So the first thing to do is to put that little small glass bead on the hook and then put the hook in your vise. And the ends of the holes are the same on both sides of the glass bead. And this is one of the more challenging pieces of this fly. All right. Okay. Now we're not going to leave it there. Obviously, it's going to wind up in the middle of the pattern. And we want to start our thread about the middle of the hook chain, so somewhere around the point. Now this hook is kind of curved, and so you see if you try to go over the top with your thread, it's kind of slips off. So on these hooks, I like to start underneath first, so just bring the thread underneath. And for those of you that are this is the first time you're tying, you want to keep a short length of thread here. You don't want 6 inches hanging down because it gets really slack. So you want to keep a fairly short distance between the end of your bobbin and your hook. So if you go underneath like this and start wrapping and just wrap back onto the thread and get 5 or 6 wraps or 4 or 5, whatever you want. And then you trim off the tag end. And you can see I really only have about 1 inch or 1.5 inches of thread hanging out here. And I want to make fairly close to touching wraps. I want to wrap down into the bend of that hook because we want to bring the body of our fly all the way down into the bend so we'll have that nice curve to the body of the fly. And so once I get down into the bend, and it doesn't matter where you stop, just somewhere down into the bend, about there, I'm going to bring my thread back to just behind the hook point and let it hang there. maybe one more bit.
Do we want to make a little dam to keep the bead in place? or-
No, we don't.
We don't, right, it's the bead.
And the reason we don't, Frank, is because the dubbing's gonna hold the bead in place. Yep.
Perfect.
So now take some of your dubbing and just get the very smallest amount. I mean, see, I don't have much at all. I mean, just a tiny, tiny amount of your dubbing. Pull out 2 or 3 inches of thread and then just roll it onto your thread. And that makes what we call a dubbing noodle. And I want to do that a couple of times to where I only have about 1 inch right now. I want about 2 inches of dubbing. Now, if you make it thicker than that, say it's really thin, it's not much thicker than the hook. If you make it thicker than that, don't make it as long because we're only going to dub halfway up. And again, I take just the smallest little pinch of this, just a tiny pinch of it. And I'll run my fingers in one direction. So I roll it in one direction to roll it onto the thread. And if you need to moisten your fingertips, I don't think dubbing probably doesn't have anything except in California that causes cancers. So you've got a small dubbing loop here. I'm sorry, not dubbing loop, small dubbing noodle, just a little thin. See, not much bigger than the hook. Okay. And again, I want to keep as short a thread as I can. So I keep my end of my bobbin up close to my dubbing. And then notice that I have a little gap here before my dubbing starts. And I'm going to use that gap to move my thread back to the very base of where I ended my thread when I brought it down into the bend. And then I'm going to start wrapping there. And if you have too much dubbing, you can always pull it off. And I'm going to have too much here. So I want to dub there to just in front of the hook point. And I'm going to trim some of that off.
Are you trying to taper the body or?
Not really.
Okay.
No, it's kind of small and it kind of naturally tapers really as you wrap it forward. You can bulk it up a little bit if you want. But and you can see I have too much dubbing, so I'm just going to pull that off. And all you have to do is reach in and pull it off, where you just reach in with your thumbnail and pull it off your thread. And that always leaves a little bit hanging out, so I'm going to trim that off. Again, very bushy. Now, at this point, I'm just going to make a few thread wraps right in front of where my dubbing stops. Yep. And I'm going to wait right here for folks.
Towel right there.
Yes, we're going to tie off right here and cut our thread. So I'm going to whip finish here. And see, it looks kind of messy there, but that's okay. The buggy fly, and then we're going to shove our bead back in position. I whip finished right at the end and then cut my thread. And see, I don't have any thread on my hook right now. And we'll take a short break here, let folks kind of catch up.
Push the bead and put it back. Push it back. Real down. And I had to have time.
It's all. You see this, you get over it. You're right.
But that's not what the one you gave me is.
Yeah.
It's not as long as that.
They're not the same box.
Did it really?
Let me know.
Yeah, that flags the bell.
Let's do that step. We'll do something different.
I get frustrated with it, just.
It's all good.
It's supposed to be 0 degrees.
Okay, next step, we're going to start our thread again. Going to restart our thread. I've shoved my bead back against my dubbing. And notice I have about, probably 2 eye lengths between the back of the hook eye and my bead. And that's about right. We don't want to crowd the bead too much. And again, holding my thread right in front of the bead, a little bit forward under the hook. And I wrap my thread back to the bead and then trim the tag end off. And what we're going to do next is we're going to dub just that little short section. So you don't need much dubbing at all. I mean, just a little bit of dubbing. We're just going to dub that short section there. So I'm going to take just the tiniest bit of dubbing there. I mean, I've only got, see that much. Just the tiniest bit. You can see I only have maybe not even quite an inch. And I'm going to dub right in front of my bead. And you can see this Hare 0 Plus is really, really spiky.
Best luck as you go get enough.
Stand down all.
All right, how we doing?
We
No, we're going to tie soft hackle in next. Yeah. And we want to have about the length of the hook eye here that's clear for us to tie the soft hackle. So if you need to take your fingernails and just shove it back a little bit like that, you can certainly do that. What you need, Tom?
Have another bead.
Yep, there's a whole bunch of them.
Thank you, sir. Mine went on a trip.
Yep. So you can just take your fingernails and just push that dubbing back a little bit and make room for your soft hackle. Tom needs some hackle pliers. Let's see. Here you go, Tom. Yeah, fair.
That really isn't.
Oh, that's fine.
Oops.
All right, now, our last step is to prepare our soft hackle and tie it in. So I have one soft hackle feather here, and I'm going to strip off a lot of this all the way back to everything from the base of the feather, probably up to about right there. We don't want to leave much at all because we don't really need that much on the hook. We only want to take a couple of wraps. So I'm just going to peel that off each side. And you can see that this feather matches that hook pretty well. It's about the same length as the hook shaft.
You can roll that little tiny feather up in there. All right.
Yep. And so see what I have overall is just a little bit longer than the hook. Not much. See, it's not too much longer than the entire fly. And it's kind of a guess how much you leave. If you leave too much, you just have a little bushier fly. If you don't leave enough, you won't have as bushy a fly. So once you have that,
Now, Bill, I see you have that same 8 knots trimmed off on both sides.
well, I can see it on the TV, but my glasses, I can't see that, Carlton. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can fix that on. Let's just grab a couple more. There, that's close enough.
Here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, there we go.
They're good.
Now,
Carlton's there.
Don't. Oh.
that's it. We'll get all stripped off here. See, on the TV, I'm seeing individual feather fibers.
Yeah.
With my glasses, I'm lucky to see the feather. So, all right. So I have a set of hackle pliers here. Now the challenge here is not breaking the feather. That's going to be the biggest problem here is breaking the feather, because let me show you how we prep it first. I'm going to take my hackle pliers, and you can hold it with your thumb if you want, but I find it a lot easier to use hackle pliers. And I'm going to hold about 1/8 of an inch into the feather, and then I'm going to pull those fibers back like that and leave something like this. You don't want to be too close to the tip, because if you go all the way up to here, it will certainly break on you. It's too fine not to. And so you want something that looks kind of like that, with a little triangle in the front.
Do you leave the pliers on it?
No, I had the pliers on it, Mike, like this,
Yeah.
and I stroke the feathers back, and then I take the pliers off.
Okay.
Yeah. Now what I'm going to do here, and this is kind of a technique to keep from breaking the feather. If I tie it in right against the feather shaft, right there in that little joint, that thread is going to bite into that shaft and it's going to break. So what I'm going to do is put a couple of loose wraps there. They're not like hanging loose, but they're not real tight. And then I'm going to pull my feather back to where my thread is up in this area. And that way the thread's wrapped around the feathers and not just the shaft of the hook. And so then what I'll do is, in order to accomplish that, I'm going to trim that about half of that off. So I've got that left. So I'm going to start my thread here, right at this little gap, and then I'm going to pull it to my thread is up in this area. I'm going to pull it to those little fibers, clear my hook eye right there is what I'm going to do. So now I want my thread to jump to the back like that. So when it's slack, it doesn't fall off the front. So to do that, to make it do that, as you look down on the top of your bobbin, if you spin it counterclockwise, it'll uncord the thread and make it jump to the back like that. That's clockwise, Mike. Counterclockwise. As you look down on the top. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Or as they say across the pond, anti-clockwise. Yeah. All right, so now I'm going to take now, and you can see why I wanted it to jump to the back, because I have a little loose wrap there, and I'm going to grab that feather right at that point. And I'm gonna make 2 or 3 snug but loose wraps, and then watch, I'm pulling back to where that just clears my hook eye. And then I'm gonna take a couple of tighter wraps like that. And just keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't break, because then you have to start over again. So I'll let y'all get tied in. Everybody tied in yet or no? Not quite?
Just watch that.
They're tied in, okay. Now I'm gonna put my hackle pliers on the end of the feather. And I notice I have no tension on the feather, none. And I'm going to make a wrap around the hook shank. And then I'm going to gently, I mean, this is like kid gloves here. I'm going to gently grab the feather with my fingers and hold them to the rear as I wrap, just like that. Hold them to the rear as I wrap. And again, I'm putting very, very little tension. Very little tension on the feather. And then I finally get to bare shaft, bare feather shaft. And when I get there, I just loop my thread. Don't worry about catching those feathers. We'll take care of those in a second. I loop my thread over twice and kind of snug it down a little bit and then let go of that. Looks like a mess right now.
Where did you let go?
I wrap twice on the stem right there.
Okay.
2 or 3 wraps. You don't want to build up a whole lot, but 2 or 3 wraps. Just like that. And then I'm going to reach in with my scissors and cut that as close as I can. Like that.
Well, after you wrapped it a couple times, you tie it in.
I wrapped the feather until I got to the bare feather shaft.
Okay.
And then I looped the thread over the bare feather shaft and tied it in there. Now, if you left too many feathers, Ronnie, you can always tie it in after making a couple of wraps. You can tie it in. You don't have to wait till you get to the bare stem. You can go ahead and tie it in if you want. Now, I'm not going to leave the fly like this because that's a mess. I'm going to take my fingers, those little wayward fibers in the front, and I'm going to pull them back with my fingers. Just kind of work till I get them all back. And then start making a few wraps and build a very small thread head there. And then whip finish or half hitch. All right. And then a little head cement on that, and it's pretty much done. I like to brush my soft tackle back a little bit with a toothbrush. And that's it.
See, he can look at a big thing. I'm just saying that when you can look at your blown up version,
Uh-huh.
it helps a little bit, doesn't it? Or does it mess you up?
No, I have to watch it up there because I can't see well enough to tie it down here.
Got too much straight in my eye.
All right, we'll finish this one up and start another copy.
Here's what.
The letter.
A lighter.
Right.
Had to start when it came.
It was like, oh, no, I just.
Yeah.
Well, that was the piece of time I had to redo it.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Top of our.
I guess while with finish, I'm doing like a 5-turn. I guess that holds it. Yeah. Slow down.
I like it, except I put too much thread in my hook.
That's the hardest part. Not enough room for that soft tackle there.
I gotta get that.
I work over.
Oh, he did it. I gotta try to get that.
Not even trying to put it in.
This is your right.
Can't see it.
I can't see it. This is your right bottom.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Worse than first.
Okay.
Starting over.
Oh, you don't.
Yeah. This one. This one is just tension. One of these.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm not even.
I fish with a lot of line. A lot of banana.
I close it when I don't.
Well, that's.
I bet that thing won't last.
Yeah.
Gotta get another.
That's
I still had to do it by hand.
One more beat and cross it too.
I think it's easier, right?
Right, yeah.
I know a pretty famous salt fire in Florida. Yeah, I mean, that's how I made a living.
Oh, there's the beat.
All right, y'all ready to do this one more time?
Yeah.
All right, I have my bead and hook in there. And again, I'm starting, now I'm using 70 denier tan thread. You can use whatever thread you want, but tan or brown works good with this. Starting about the middle of the hook.
I would like to compare it, like I use the 6/0.
No, 6/0 is more like 140 denier.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
8/0 would be, 8/0 would be, yeah.
Maybe that's why.
It may give you too much bulk at the front. And again, remember, I'm wrapping down almost halfway down that bend and then coming back to right there.
Well, you already got the glass bead on.
Yeah, you put the glass bead on it before you start wrapping. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it on.
Man.
That's a critical piece.
Tell us why.
That's a critical piece, Mike. And again, use just the slimmest piece of dubbing, just a little wisp of dubbing there. And I'm only making a little less this time because I had too much last time. I have about 1.5 inches that I'm going to try this time. So I've got a really thin dubbing noodle, about 1.5 inches. And again, I take that bare thread so I can get down to my starting point. And I start dubbing right there.
You know, after we run the thread on the hook,
Uh-huh.
we bring it to the back before we put our dubbing on.
Bring it about up to around the hook point.
Okay.
Yeah, this time my dubbing worked out a little bit better.
Yeah. It's steady, you're not making no difference. So you're fine.
It's messy looking.
It's really aggravating.
It's a buggy fly. This is not the easiest one to start on.
Yeah, the last doctor, he ended up tying 4 of those while I was here.
And that amount of dubbing you see there is just the tiniest width. It's not much.
Now I've got some order. It's not sticking.
And then roll it hard. So when you roll your dubbing hard, it gets a small noodle with it.
Yeah, that works.
Tom, this is a little smaller than your saltwater flies.
Yeah.
We'll do bigger ones month after next. Next month we do a dry fly. The month after that, we get back to big flies. Mhm. All right, so now remember at this point, I tie my thread off. And I'm going to whip finish. I'm gonna give it a 4 or 5 turn whip finish here, 3, 4, 5. And then trim it off. Now I'll push my bead back and I need to make sure that I have at least 2 eye lengths in front. And probably not quite, so I'm going to push it back a little bit more to the rear, make a little more space there. I'm going to have a little more than that even. There we go. I want to have plenty of room to tie in my saw tackle. And in the front, start, midway. Get back there, bead. Right back to the bead and tie. And this is a really tiny piece of dubbing. I mean, it is minuscule, would be a good term, I guess.
You start back at the bead and work forward.
Yeah, and I'm really gonna, Ronnie, just make I'm gonna kind of make just a thick collar right in front of the bead.
Okay.
So I'm gonna wrap this just right on top of itself because I want it at least as thick as the bead.
Tie that knot in front of it.
I tied another knot. I retied in front of it. Because I had cut my thread off behind the bead.
But you tied it behind the bead first.
I tied behind the bead first, then slid the bead back.
Get it close. I want to this.
All right, I need to grab another soft tackle.
I got. I'm ready to still. I got one thing.
Peel my feather back, kind of like I did before, just a little bit longer than a hook. Mark, Peter, y'all doing good there?
Yeah, I broke off my thread a couple of times, but that's not the end of the world.
Didn't break a feather yet, huh?
Not yet.
Oh, that'll happen, believe me.
Yeah, that's next.
Yep. All right. And again, to prep my soft tackle, I'm going to use hackle pliers. And try not to drop it and lose it. Trim a little triangle there. Get my thread a counterclockwise spin. Couple of loose wraps. Pull it back and then give some tight wraps on it.
There's a couple of.
And again, I'm not using any tension on that feather.
We leave our thread in the front.
Yep, leave it in the front, right behind the eye. And I'm just sweeping those feathers back each time until I get to my bare hook shank right there. This one's turning out a little neater than the last one. It's a better feather. Get 2 or 3 wraps on top of that bare shank. Cinch it down. Trims off. 3 or 4 nice wraps and a whip.
Floating fly line to make some of the real things. And you get all together.
And trim my thread, I'm done. Little Sally Hansen's hard as nails on this one.
It's got a line on it?
Yeah.
That's a float monster there. Unless it's been on like 20 years. My son-in-law did it. I gave him one. Didn't use it.
And there we have it.
Are you telling that 5 is more than one?
I am, my son. That's February 28th.
Peter, it's gonna be a few months before you can use this.
Yeah, exactly. On the little mow.
Oh, that's, yeah, be a little more for, yeah, I'm gonna tie up several of these because I think I'm gonna tie up some of the silver bead to give it a little weight, maybe a brass bead, but,
Now, would you call this a wet fly?
yeah, I would call it a soft tackle, either soft tackle nymph or a soft tackle wet fly.
Okay.
Yeah, now another thing you can do if you want weight is to use a 2 fly setup and tie a heavier fly behind this one. Which or ahead of it, which will take it down.
I tell you, I fished a little more this weekend.
Say again, Mark.
This Anthony. I was saying I fished a little more this weekend, and they were biting on anything, no matter what you put in front of them.
Yeah, Carlton and Robert went up there and they caught a lot of fish. So,
Really?
yeah. Yeah.
A lot of fish in the river.
Well, they just stopped. So they bite anything. That's unusual that they'll eat anything. A lot of times they key in on something, sparkly or not sparkly. They'll want one or the other, or they'll want a color, or they'll want a size. It can be, oddly enough, for hatchery fish, they can be strangely selective sometime there.
We've been down there since.
All right, how's copy number 2 going?
It's fine.
Depends on which end you're looking at.
So if you want a little mow in a couple of months, you definitely want to carry these with you.
What's his name? Anthony? Is Anthony still there?
Yeah, Anthony's on.
Ask him if he's gonna be there at May 30th, because I still got to apply.
Anthony, are you still coming to the festival on May 30th?
I'm gonna probably wind up scheduling some vacation so I can go, yes.
Okay. Jim, what do you want to know? Jim?
Oh, he said he still has his flies.
He still has your flies.
I didn't run off. You make it wet.
Most of the Robin surprise.
I don't know what that is.
Robert, what was that thing you had to out of your pool?
Oh, no. Either that or squirrel worms.
Squirrel worms, I've actually.
Beautiful.
Look, if you fished in the right place, which was an area about the size of 3 of these tables, it didn't make any difference.
Yeah, that's what Anthony just said. He was up there and said they would eat anything. All right, guys, Anthony, Peter, Mark.
Thanks, Bill. It's great. Great pattern.
Thanks, Bill. Great class.
Yeah, glad y'all.
Thank you.
Next month is another kind of tough one. We're gonna tie a stimulator dry fly.
That's what the happen.
Right.
So-
Excellent.
Yes, that'll be a fun one too. So y'all have a good evening. Glad.
Thank you.
All right, see you.